Mr Rowley, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I am pleased to be speaking in this Stage 1 debate today on the Withdrawal of the European Union Continuity Scotland Bill. At the outset, I would like to thank the hard work of all on the Finance and Constitution Committee and the Environment, Climate Change and Land Reform Committee, who have done the work to scrutinise the bill, particularly the support of the clerks in bringing together the Stage 1 reports. I would also like to take the time to thank all who gave evidence and helped advise the committees through the scrutiny of this bill. The bill is being brought forward to allow our legal system to be able to keep pace with EU law in devolved areas where appropriate, as well as being able to ensure that there continues to be guiding principles on our environment here in Scotland and our post-Brexit landscape. These general principles are supported by the Labour Party, and we will be supporting the Government with the progression of this bill today. Our view is that at this stage we agree in principle with creating new powers to allow the Government to keep pace with EU laws. It is particularly desirable to be able to deliver the strong environmental standards we want to see in Scotland. It would be impractical to require all changes in EU law to be given effect by primary legislation in the Scottish Parliament. This would hold up important legislative activity. However, some future changes in EU law could involve substantial policy considerations which Parliament and stakeholders must have the opportunity to scrutinise and influence. The Government must set out detailed guidance for how these powers would be used and alternative processes for when consultation is required. Scottish Labour welcomes the proposal of a new environmental governance body, Environmental Standards Scotland, but this has to be independent from government. We believe that climate change, individual cases and fiscal measures should all be included in the remit of this body, and that exemptions to investigations should be prevented or at least have to go through primary legislation. We welcome that the EU guiding principles are incorporated in the bill, as argued by Scottish Labour in the previous continuity bill. Labour are considering amendments at Stage 2 to add further principles, including recognition of human health impacts. We also believe the bill should be strengthened at Stage 2 to act in accordance with the environmental principles. The keeping pace powers should not be entirely at the discretion of the Scottish Government, and there must be greater clarity on how the Scottish Government proposes to use the powers. I am pleased by the indications from the Cabinet Secretary to the Finance and Constitution Committee that he intends to work with the Parliament to agree an appropriate and proportionate decision-making framework for all future alignment with EU law. I welcome his letter to the Finance Committee on Tuesday this week, which stated that he would commit to publishing the guidance which will be used to inform decisions on the use of this power. This is a welcome step, Presiding Officer. However, worth noting, moving forward with this bill, the Law Society of Scotland state in their briefing that it is suggested that the power to make regulations under Section 1 should be restricted to where the changes in EU law do not involve substantial policy considerations unless they are subject to super affirmative procedure. I think this point is worth bearing in note. From my reading of the Cabinet Secretary's letter to the committee, he appears not to have taken this suggestion on board, and I am hoping that an agreement can be made that satisfies the level of scrutiny that will be required before taking on board new rules in this country. The National Farmers Union have also said that they agree with the recommendations of both the Finance and Constitution Committee and the Environment and Climate Change and Land Reform Committee that use of the power in Part 1 of the bill should not be absolute and inflexible, and that there should be a stronger role for Parliament in scrutinising its use. So I do hope, Presiding Officer, that there will be a willingness to work together. We believe there is a need for this legislation. It is ludicrous for the Scottish Tories to continue to line up with Boris Johnson and attack the environmental rights of this Parliament and of the people of Scotland. So we will work together to ensure that at stage 2 and stage 3 we improve the legislation and put it through.